So the NASDAQ is 3% from its all-time high. The market just doesn't seem to want to react to the riots, the looting, and the protests. It views this unrest as a short-term issue for the markets. Obviously, the justice issue and the inequality and all of that is a long-term issue that's not going to be resolved in a matter of a couple of days. But with its regard to the market, which is amoral, which doesn't have a conscience, which is the market, we think it's going to be resolved relatively quickly. And when we buy a stock, we're thinking of owning a long-term asset. That's why despite COVID, despite the China tensions, despite the protests, the riots, and the looting, the market is so close to all-time highs. Now, my opinion on the market, I think the rally is starting to sputter. It's kind of like, how you have those wind-up toys? We wound it up as we were going down. And then when we bottomed, we let go of that wind. Did the jump. And now the winding is starting to run out. So we're going to hit this point where we're at all-time highs and we're looking back on crazy level of unemployment, a lot of new added debt with all the cop cars that are going to have to be replaced. And we're going to be scared. There's not a catalyst for more upward momentum. I take that back. There is a lot of cash on the sidelines. But if that cash gets used too aggressively, we'll enter an asset price inflation situation, which will lead to a bubble, which will lead to a burst. So if we see that happen, we will adjust. I will let you know that is happening, and we will adjust if that happens. But right now, I'm very, very cautious at these levels. I was very, very calm and confident at the bottom buying. I was very calm and confident on the nibbling on the way down. I was very calm and confident even buying as the rally continued. I kept getting more cash from my clients, kept buying more stock when it was appropriate. Now I've got cash on the sideline. I'm not really ready to use it right now. I'm not seeing a whole lot of opportunity at these levels. There are spots you can pick. There's always spots you can pick. And if you've got a long-term time horizon, it's not a bad idea to get in at these fair prices, which is what we're at. We're at fair prices. But I think there might be some additional opportunity in the coming weeks ahead. I'm not saying that's guaranteed. I'm not saying that I know how to predict the future and that I can market time. But I'm cautious that something's going to come up, that maybe this unemployment number isn't going to go down as quickly as we think it is. And there's a lot of uncertainties. Unemployment's going to run out in July. What's going to happen in July? A lot of these protests and the protests are protests. They happen regardless. But I think part of the reason why it's escalated beyond a protest to a violent riot and essentially war on our country is because a lot of people aren't in jobs. They've been at home for so long, so they can just go out and do this with no essential ramifications. They've got no rigidity, no routine in their life at the moment. So what do you do when you have no rigidity and no routine? You riot and loot and do those kinds of things. So if there's no jobs coming back in July, which is when the unemployment ends, I don't know what's going to happen then. I don't. This is the tough part that we're entering. So at the end of the day, I think it's still a good idea to pick the right stocks. It's always a good idea to pick the right stocks. But you should be somewhat wary of the unknowns ahead. And now is not the best, most comfortable time, most attractive time to get in. We're 3% off the all-time high for the NASDAQ. It's getting pretty hot. So let's see what happens. Let's always be adjusting, and I'm keeping a very sharp lookout in the markets. I'm not selling yet. I've got cash. I'm nibbling lightly, very lightly nibbling when pullbacks are happening on stocks I like. If I see a significant pullback, I will buy. I think valuations are fair. I am a long-term investor. But right now, I'm just a little cautious. So until next time, peace.